Jack had worked at the human colony on Turkus for almost 5 years, but even after all this time he still didn't feel entirely at home. The colony was far from Earth, situated on a remote planet that had its share of strange weather, dangerous wildlife, and of course, alien species. Humanity had set up a base here to mine resources, and though they had allies, there were still constant reminders of how small they were in the vastness of the galaxy. Jack was a supervisor, someone who made sure everything ran smoothly. His job wasn't easy, especially when it came to managing the alien workers. They had been integrated into the colony workforce after the treaty with the Turkus Alliance, but Jack had always felt uneasy around them. They were different. Some were humanoid, others were not. Some communicated with their minds, others through strange, unearthly sounds. And then there were the ones like Lena, quiet and mysterious, who seemed to avoid making a fuss. Lena was one of the alien workers Jack had seen many times. She was always dressed in the same plain hoodie, her head bowed low, hiding her face. She rarely spoke and kept to herself. To Jack, she seemed just like any other worker, nothing special. She was quiet, kept to her task, and never tried to stand out. He never bothered to get to know her, never cared much beyond the fact that she was another body in the workforce. She was just another alien to Jack, another creature that needed to be kept under control. Today was like any other. Jack had been up before the first light of the planet's twin suns, organizing the schedule for the day's work. He had to make sure the mining crew, both human and alien, were where they needed to be. The tasks were repetitive, but they had to be done. The Turkus colony wasn't a luxury retreat. It was hard work, long hours, and sometimes dangerous conditions. Lena was scheduled for a task in the depths of the mining tunnels today. Jack didn't think much of it. It was routine. The team would collect ore, return to base, and report their findings. But as Jack checked the crew's attendance on his datapad, he noticed something odd. Lena's name wasn't on the list. This wasn't typical. She had never skipped work before, at least not since he had been there. He dismissed it at first. Maybe she had been reassigned or was sick. He'd see her later. But something gnawed at him. For some reason, he had the feeling that today wasn't going to be like the others. After his morning rounds, Jack went to the mining tunnels to check on the progress. He had to ensure everything was running smoothly. It was when he was halfway down the path that he saw Lena. She was standing by the entrance to the deepest section of the tunnels, her face hidden by her hoodie. Just like always. Jack approached her without hesitation. "Lena, you're late," he said, his voice firm but not unkind. "You need to report to your team." Lena didn't respond. She stood there, staring into the dark tunnel. Jack frowned. This was unusual. He knew she wasn't a troublemaker. But there was something unsettling about the way she was acting. "Lena?" Jack tried again. "Is everything all right?" Finally, Lena turned her head slightly. For a moment, Jack caught a glimpse of her face, but it was hard to make out. Her eyes were dark, her expression unreadable. She didn't speak, but there was something in the way she looked at him that made Jack feel uneasy. "Come on, Lena," Jack said, trying to shake off the feeling. "You can't just stand around all day. You're part of the team." Lena took a slow step forward. Jack thought she was going to follow orders, but instead, she reached up and pulled off her hoodie. Jack blinked, momentarily stunned. What he saw wasn't what he had expected. It wasn't just an alien worker. It wasn't someone he could easily dismiss. Underneath the hoodie was a woman, yes, but she was not like any worker Jack had ever seen. Her skin had a faint shimmer to it, almost like it was made of stardust. Her hair, long and flowing, had an ethereal glow, and her features, though humanoid, were far more refined than any human Jack had ever seen. She was stunning. But what struck Jack the most was the way she held herself. She wasn't meek or ordinary. There was power in her presence, a quiet but undeniable strength. Jack's mouth went dry. He had no idea what he was looking at. He had worked with aliens for years, but none of them had looked like this. None of them had carried themselves like this. And then, something in Lena's gaze made him freeze. It wasn't just her appearance, it was the way she looked at him, as if she were seeing straight through him. "I've been watching you," she said, her voice soft but carrying an edge of something more. "And I think it's time you understand who I really am." Jack stood frozen, the words not making sense in his mind. The woman in front of him was no ordinary worker. But what did she mean by watching him? And who was she really? His mind raced as he tried to piece things together. Everything he thought he knew about her, about the alien workers, was suddenly turned upside down. The person standing before him wasn't the quiet alien worker he'd dismissed so easily. She was something else entirely. But Jack had no idea yet how much his life was about to change. The truth was just beginning to unfold. Jack stood frozen, trying to process what had just happened. He had always considered himself a practical person, a man of reason. But in that moment, as Lena stood before him, revealing something far beyond what he had ever expected, he felt lost. Lena didn't seem to care about Jack's shock. She took a step forward, her movements graceful and purposeful. Her eyes locked onto his, and Jack felt an uncomfortable chill run down his spine. She wasn't just any alien worker. She wasn't just someone doing a job on the colony. She was something more. Something that didn't belong here in the way he had always thought. "You've been so focused on the simple things," Lena said, her voice still soft but carrying a weight Jack couldn't ignore. "The work, the tasks, the routine. You never wondered what was really happening around you, did you?" Jack opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He was still trying to make sense of it. Why had she been pretending to be just another worker? Why had she hidden herself like that? "Who are you?" he finally managed to ask. His voice came out quieter than he intended, almost as if he feared the answer. Lena didn't hesitate. "I'm not just an alien worker," she said, her gaze intense. "I'm part of something much bigger. Something you wouldn't understand yet. But I will show you." Jack swallowed hard. His mind raced, and the questions came flooding in. Who was she really? Why had she been assigned to the colony? What did she mean by part of something bigger? Was it something the colony leaders knew? Or was she acting on her own? Lena took another step forward, closer to Jack now. There was no fear in her movements, no hesitation. She was completely confident, and Jack couldn't help but feel a strange pull toward her. She didn't belong in the colony. She didn't belong with the other workers. She was something else entirely, and yet here she was, standing right in front of him. "I don't understand," Jack said, his voice full of confusion. "Why pretend to be just another worker? Why not tell us who you really are?" Lena's eyes softened, just for a moment. "Because I had to. I needed to watch you, watch all of you. You have no idea how much is at stake. This colony, this planet, they're not just resources. There's more here, more than you could ever know." Jack tried to process her words, but they didn't make sense. What could be more than the colony? They were here for mining, to extract valuable minerals and bring them back to Earth. That was the purpose of the colony. There couldn't be anything more, could there? Lena must have seen the doubt on his face because she sighed softly and took another step toward him. "You humans think you're at the center of everything. You think this colony is just about your mining operations, your projects, your survival. But there's a bigger game being played, and you're in the middle of it." Jack felt his heart race. The tension in the air was palpable, and he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being pulled into something much larger than he ever imagined. The way Lena spoke, with such certainty, made him realize that she wasn't just talking about the colony. She was talking about something much more significant. Something that had been hidden right under his nose all this time. "I don't get it," Jack muttered. shaking his head. "What do you want from me? What's going on here?" Lena smiled faintly. It wasn't a warm smile, but one filled with mystery and knowing. "I'm not here to explain everything to you right now, Jack. You're not ready for that. But you will be. Soon." Jack's frustration grew. This was all so confusing. He had always trusted his instincts, but now, with Lena standing in front of him, nothing made sense. She had been just another worker, someone he could ignore. But now, she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. And he was certain that the answers would change everything. "What do you mean by ready?" Jack asked, his voice tense. "You'll understand in time," Lena replied. "But first, you need to see things with new eyes. You need to stop thinking about things in simple terms. The universe is more complex than you can imagine. And you have a role to play in it." Jack was about to respond when he heard the sound of footsteps approaching. His heart skipped a beat as he looked over Lena's shoulder, where a few of the human workers were walking toward the entrance of the tunnel. He quickly realized that they had seen him with Lena. They had seen her without her hoodie, and they were beginning to whisper among themselves. "Don't worry about them," Lena said, sensing Jack's unease. "They don't know anything yet, but you will." Jack felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement building in him. He had no idea what Lena was talking about, but one thing was clear. She was about to drag him into something he wasn't prepared for. Something much bigger than a simple mining operation on a remote planet. "Come with me," Lena said, her voice softer now, almost coaxing. "I'll show you. You'll understand everything soon enough." For a moment, Jack hesitated. He had always been someone who liked to stay in control, who liked to understand what was going on. But there was something about Lena, something about the way she spoke and the way she made him feel, that made him want to follow her. He nodded slowly. "All right, I'll come with you." Lena gave him a brief, knowing smile and turned, leading the way deeper into the tunnels. Jack followed her, unsure of where this path would lead him, but certain that his life was about to change forever. He couldn't explain why, but he knew one thing for sure. Whatever secrets Lena was hiding, he was about to learn them. Jack followed Lena deeper into the tunnels, the faint light from their handheld devices casting long shadows on the walls. His mind raced with questions, but he didn't ask. He didn't think Lena would answer. There was something about her now, something that made him feel small, like he was standing on the edge of something vast, something he couldn't fully understand. Lena walked ahead, her steps purposeful and steady, as if she had done this 1,000 times. Jack struggled to keep up with her pace, his thoughts swirling. The cold tunnel air felt heavy, and each step they took seemed to make the silence around them grow louder. Finally, Lena stopped in front of a large metal door, one Jack had never seen before. It was unlike any other door in the colony. It was sleek, almost alien in design, with strange symbols carved into its surface. It wasn't the kind of door that was used for regular access. It looked secret, hidden. And yet, here they were, standing in front of it. Lena turned to Jack, her expression unreadable. "This is where the truth begins," she said softly. Jack's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean, what truth?" Lena didn't answer. She placed her hand on the door, and to Jack's surprise, it slid open effortlessly. There was no noise, no indication of machinery, just smooth, silent motion. Beyond the door was a room that seemed to stretch far beyond what the tunnels should have allowed. The walls glowed with a soft blue light, and Jack could see technology unlike anything he had ever encountered. Strange devices hummed quietly in the corners, and large, alien-looking consoles flickered with life. What is this place?" Jack asked, his voice full of awe. Lena stepped into the room, turning to face him. "This is the real purpose of this colony. This is why you're here." Jack's confusion deepened. "We're here for mining, that's it. We're here to extract resources, bring them back to Earth. That's what we're doing." Lena shook her head slowly. "You, We're told that. But the truth is much different. The resources you're mining here, they're not just for Earth. They're for something much larger, much more important. Jack couldn't believe what he was hearing. His life, the work he had been doing for years, was a lie. But we're given orders. The colony is here to mine. That's all. Lena stepped closer to one of the consoles. She placed her fingers on it, and the screen came to life. It displayed a map, but not a map of the colony or the planet. This map was much larger. It spanned galaxies, showing star systems Jack had never seen. He recognized Earth course, but everything else was unfamiliar. This is the true purpose of the colony, Lena said. This is where we come in. This map shows the connections between various species, worlds, and civilizations. Your people, humans, are part of something bigger than you realize. Jack took a step forward, his eyes locked on the map. I don't understand. What are you saying? Lena turned to face him fully now, her eyes intense. You've been chosen, Jack. Humanity has been chosen, but not in the way you think. You've always been seen as a primitive species, one that's still learning. But you've evolved faster than anyone expected. Faster than most species ever do. You've become a force to be reckoned with. Jack's mind was spinning. He had never thought of humans as anything other than just another species on Earth. But now, Lena was telling him something entirely different. Why did you hide all this from us? Jack asked, his voice rising. Why pretend to be just another worker? Why didn't you tell us about this? Lena's gaze softened for a moment. I couldn't tell you right away. You needed to understand first. To see who you really are. The truth about humanity isn't something that can be explained in a few words. It has to be shown. It has to be experienced. Jack's head was still spinning, but now, a feeling of dread started to settle in. And what happens now? What do we do with this power? What's going to happen to the colony? Lena smiled faintly, but there was no warmth in it. The colony isn't the only thing at stake here. The future of your species is. The galaxy is changing, Jack, and you have a part to play in it. The mining? That was just the beginning. What you're really doing here, what you've been doing all along, is preparing for something much bigger. Jack took a deep breath. He felt like he was being pulled into something far beyond his control. The colony, the work, the simple life. He had been leading, it was all just a small part of something far larger. He didn't know what it meant, but he knew it wasn't good. What do you need me to do? Jack asked, his voice almost a whisper. He couldn't believe he was asking the question, but he had no choice now. There was no turning back. Lena turned back to the console and typed a few commands. The map shifted, zooming in on Earth. Your people are on the brink of something great, Jack. But you're not ready. Not yet. There's still a lot you need to learn. And the galaxy has been watching. They're watching right now. The silence in the room felt heavier now. Jack could feel the weight of her words, the gravity of what was at stake. He was no longer just a man working at a remote colony. He was part of something that could change everything. But what did that mean for him? For humanity? Lena met his gaze. The choice is yours, Jack. You can stay here and ignore it, or you can join me. And together, we can help humanity find its place in the galaxy. Jack didn't answer immediately. He wasn't sure what to say. What did this all mean? Was he ready to be part of something so much bigger than himself? Or was it too much to ask of him? Lena waited patiently, knowing the weight of the decision was heavy on his mind. But she knew one thing. The choice he made would shape the future. Of humanity, Jack stood there, his mind racing as Lena's words echoed in his ears. He had always thought of himself as a man of action, someone who understood what needed to be done and acted accordingly. But now, in this moment, he felt as if he were standing at the edge of a cliff, unsure whether to jump or turn back. Lena's gaze never wavered. She was patient, waiting for him to process the weight of what she had just revealed. The quiet hum of the alien technology around them seemed to match the silence that hung heavy between them. Jack's heart pounded in his chest as he tried to make sense of it all. The mining colony, the resources, the aliens. His whole life had been about routine, about getting the job done. But now, everything had changed. The map on the console still glowed before him, showing the vast stretches of the galaxy. Earth seemed so small now, just a speck among the many stars. He could see the different paths, the connections between worlds, and for the first time, he realized just how little humanity understood about its place in the galaxy. I can't. Just ignore all of this, Jack said, his voice trembling slightly as the weight of the situation pressed down on him. But this is too much. You're asking me to change everything I've known. To believe in something something bigger. But I don't know what that means. I don't know if I can trust it. Lena's eyes softened, and she took a step closer to him. You don't have to understand it all right now, Jack. All I'm asking is for you to trust me. Trust that there's a purpose for everything that's happening. The galaxy has been watching humanity for a long time, and you've finally reached a point where you matter. But that means there's a responsibility that comes with it. Jack swallowed hard, feeling the pressure build. His mind was still trying to process it all. He had always been the one in control, the one making decisions for the colony, for his team, but this was something he couldn't control. This was something much bigger than him. I don't know if I'm ready for all of this, Jack admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. How do I even begin to understand? I'm just a man from Earth. I've spent my whole life working with these people, these aliens, but now I feel lost. Lena nodded, her expression understanding. That's exactly why I'm here, Jack. I didn't expect you to understand right away. No one ever does. But you're not alone in this. You'll have help. And you'll learn. You just have to be willing to see things differently. To see beyond the work, beyond the routine. Jack let out a long breath, his hands shaking as he placed them on the console, staring at the map once more. There was so much to process. So much he didn't understand. But there was also a part of him that knew Lena wasn't lying. She had no reason to deceive him. And the way she spoke, the way she looked at him, it was clear that she believed in what she was saying. He finally looked up at her, his eyes meeting hers with a mixture of uncertainty and resolve. All right, I'll do it. I'll try. But you have to promise me something. Lena raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What do you want me to promise? That this isn't just some game. That what you're asking of me isn't going to destroy everything I've worked for, everything we've built here. I've seen enough destruction in my life, enough chaos. I don't want to be part of something that just ends in more of the same. Lena's gaze softened even more, and for the first time, Jack saw a flicker of something close to compassion in her eyes. I promise, Jack, this isn't a game. What's at stake is much bigger than anything you've ever experienced. But I believe in you. I wouldn't be asking this of you if I didn't. You have the power to make a difference. The power to help shape the future. Jack nodded slowly, still unsure, but feeling a spark of something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Maybe it was foolish to believe, but for some reason, he felt like this was the right choice. Like this was his chance to make a real impact, to be part of something that truly mattered. Lena took a step back, her attention returning to the map on the console. We're not the only ones watching, Jack. There are others who know what's happening here. They've been waiting for this moment. Jack's brow furrowed. What do you mean? Who else? Lena's expression darkened, and Jack could see the weight of whatever she was about to tell him. The galaxy is full of factions, all vying for control. Some of them want to control humanity. Others want to destroy it. And then there are those who see potential in you, who believe that humanity could be the key to shifting the balance of power in the galaxy. Jack felt a chill run down his spine. And what do you want me to do with that? I want you to understand what "You're up against," Lena said, her voice growing more serious. "Humanity has the potential to change the galaxy. But that comes with danger. There are forces out there that will do anything to stop you from rising to your full potential." Jack's mind reeled. He had never thought of Earth or humanity as anything more than a small player in the grand scheme of things. But now, with Lena standing before him, telling him that humanity was important, that they could shape the future, it was almost too much to grasp. "I don't know if I can do this," Jack said, his voice filled with doubt. "I'm just one man. Can I possibly make a difference?" Lena stepped closer to him again, her voice steady. "You don't have to do it alone, Jack. You never will. We are all connected. We are all part of something much bigger. But you have a choice. You can stay here in the comfort of what you know, or you can step into the unknown. It's up to you." Jack took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision press down on him. He didn't know what the future held, but one thing was clear. His life would never be the same. He had to make a choice. And whatever that choice was, it would change everything. Jack stood at the edge of the room, his mind still spinning from everything Lena had told him. The weight of the decision was heavy on his shoulders, and he felt like he was teetering on the edge of something immense. Everything he had known, everything he had worked for, was about to change. But was he ready? Could he truly make the choice that would determine not just his future but humanity's? Lena watched him silently, her expression calm but intense. She knew how much this choice meant to him. She had seen it before, people torn between their old lives and the possibility of something greater. But she had also seen what happened when they chose the unknown. Some thrived, and some were lost to it. "You've been given a gift, Jack," Lena said softly, breaking the silence. "But gifts come with responsibility, with choice. The path you take now will shape everything to come." Jack looked at her, his heart racing. "I'm just one man. What can I do? How can I possibly make a difference?" Lena's eyes softened as she stepped closer to him. "It's not about being one man, Jack. It's about understanding that you're part of something bigger. You're not alone in this. You never will be. And the choices you make will affect not just your life, but the lives of everyone you care about." Jack shook his head. "But I don't know if I can live up to that. I've spent my life just doing my job, following orders. I'm not a hero. I'm not someone who's meant to change the galaxy." Lena smiled faintly. "None of us are born heroes, Jack. We all start somewhere, and it's the choices we make that define us. You've already made your first choice by stepping into this room, by following me here. Now you need to decide if you're ready to take the next step." Jack glanced at the map on the console once more. The vastness of the galaxy spread out before him, filled with unknowns and endless possibilities. Humanity had always been small, insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but now the stakes were different. The future wasn't set in stone. It was up to people like him, like Lena, to shape it. He took a deep breath, his chest tightening. "What happens if I choose to walk away? If I stay here, do nothing, just continue with life as it is?" Lena's face darkened for a moment. "If you choose to walk away, you'll remain in the dark. The galaxy will continue to turn, but humanity will stay where it is. You won't be part of the change. You'll be stuck in the past while others move forward." Jack felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He had never been one to back down from a challenge, but this was different. This wasn't just a mission. This wasn't just a task to complete. This was the future of humanity, the very thing he had always taken for granted. Could he walk away from that? He looked at Lena again, seeing the truth in her eyes. She wasn't asking him to be a hero. She was asking him to see what was possible, to step into something bigger than himself. Something that could change everything. "But what if I fail?" Jack asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "What if I'm not strong enough? What if Humanity isn't ready. Lena stepped closer, her voice gentle but firm. Everyone starts somewhere. Failure isn't the end. It's part of the journey. And humanity has always been resilient. It's in your nature. It's in all of us. The only failure is not trying. The only mistake is choosing to remain ignorant of the truth. Jack's eyes flicked back to the map. He thought of the colony, of the workers, of everything he had been doing for years. Was it enough? Could he keep living his life in the same way, knowing what he knew now? Or did he have the strength to step forward, to embrace what was waiting for him? Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Jack made his decision. He knew he couldn't go back to his old life. He couldn't ignore what was at stake. The world, the galaxy, the future, it was all connected now. He had to choose. "I'll do it," Jack said, his voice steady. "I'll take the next step. I'll do whatever it takes to make a difference." Lena smiled, a look of pride crossing her face. "You've made the right choice, Jack. The future is yours to shape. And humanity's future is in your hands." Jack felt a sense of calm wash over him, though the road ahead was still uncertain. He wasn't sure what lay ahead, but for the first time, he felt like he had purpose. He wasn't just a man working in a colony. He wasn't just someone who followed orders. He was part of something bigger. And now, it was time to fight for that future. Lena placed her hand on his shoulder. "You're not alone in this. Together, we'll make sure humanity doesn't just survive. We'll make sure it thrives. The galaxy is waiting for you, Jack, for us." The words resonated within him, filling him with a sense of determination. He wasn't sure what the future would bring, but he knew one thing. He wasn't just a bystander in this galaxy anymore. He was going to make his mark. And with Lena by his side, anything was possible. Jack turned back toward the console, his mind clearer than it had been in years. The path ahead was uncertain, full of challenges and dangers. But for the first time, he wasn't afraid. He was ready to face whatever came next. For the first time, he felt like he had a purpose, one that could change everything. As the doors to the room slowly closed behind them, Jack took one last look at the map, knowing that his journey was just beginning. And no matter what happened, he was ready to face the future. Because the future was his to shape.